Hi guys and welcome to Bunker Bonkers. My name's Andy. We're here in North Kelsey at a Royal Observer Corps post. This is one of the many posts that were dotted up and down the country, nearly 1,500 of them. Today we're going to explain all about the Royal Observer Corps and the posts. Let's dig into it. I think we should start today with a brief description of who are the Royal Observer Corps. The Royal Observer Corps are a civil defence organisation, and they originated in World War I, just before the end of the war. The Metropolitan Observer Service, which encompassed the London Air Defence Area, later extended towards the Kentish Essex coast, but this was wound up by the end of 1920. Their role was to detect enemy aircraft and Zeppelins coming over from Germany and attacking the United Kingdom. In 1922, responsibility for air defence passed from the Army's War Office to the Air Ministry. The War Office, the Admiralty and Air Ministry are now in a single department known as the Ministry of Defence, but these were separate until 1964. A Ministry of Defence did exist from 1947 to 1964, however, the Air Ministry, War Office and Admiralty all existed as units themselves. The Air Raid Precautions Committee was formed in 1922, however this was under the Territorial Police Forces for the counties in South East England. The Observer Corps was formed in 1925. It was mainly covering South East of England, still under the police. Predominantly was a sergeant with a group of approximately 6 volunteer special constables. In 1929, control passes to the Air Ministry, although the police remained responsible for the staffing of these observer stations, and a new HQ was formed at RAF Uxbridge. 1936, England actually had full Observer Corps coverage, so any bombers coming over from the continent would be spotted. In 1941, the Observer Corps was granted the addition of Royal in their title for their actions during the Battle of Britain, thus becoming what we now know as the Royal Observer Corps. However, with the end of the war in 1945, the Royal Observer Corps was stood down. With the building tensions with the Soviet Union in 1946-1947, the Royal Observer Corps was reactivated to again look for incoming enemy bombers, and their first exercise held in 1947 after reformation. 1949, Soviet Russia detonated their first A bomb. In 1957, in response to the increased threat of atom bombs, the UK government established the UK Warning and Monitoring Organisation under the Home Office. You should see my video. I've made a video on the UK WMO. 1958 and 1968, Royal Observer posts were built across the country, primarily in rural areas, to avoid the direct blast effects. There was a reorganisation of groups in 1962, with the number of groups being reduced from 40 down to 31, and a further reduction in 1968. In 1990, in the options change, the UK government announced that the Royal Observer Corps would be stood down, with the HQ finally closing in 1996. What is a Royal Observer Corps post, and what does it do? A rock post is a small underground bunker for 3 or 4 people. It usually has a crew of 3. This crew of 3 is there to provide information on detection of nuclear detonations, provide the bearing of that detonation, detect the radiation caused by fallout, and report the above to the group HQ. The crew of usually 3 can be of mixed sex, and they're provided with a uniform very similar to the Air Force, but have their own unique ranks, but share rank insignia. The layout of the post is that from the surface you have a approximately 20-foot ladder down into a small hallway where there's a chemical toilet. At the base of this ladder there's also a sump and a hand pump to remove any water that comes into the bunker. Water such as rainwater or floodwater caused by overpressure. Next to the bottom of the ladder is a door into a small room that's only about 7 foot by 16 foot with a double bunk, seating for 2 people in a workspace. It's important to note that these bunkers had no running water or gas, but I believe they did have mains electricity for the lighting. Many posts suffered with damp due to poor ventilation, and some even needed to be cleared of water before operations could begin. In order to be able to report back to Group HQ on the information that Group HQ wanted from each of the ROC posts, there were various tools available to the observers in order to provide the information. Group HQs had AWDRI, which is the Atomic Weapon Detonation, Recognition and Estimation of Yield. The ROC posts had BPIs, which is a bomb power indicator, which measured the overpressure caused by a or H bomb. They had a GZI, which is a ground zero indicator, which was basically pinhole cameras to be able to get the bearing on a nuclear detonation. To be able to monitor ionizing radiation, they were initially issued with RSMs, which is Radiac Survey Meter number 2, fixed survey meters. These were updated in the 1980s with the PDRM82, which is the portable dose rate meter 1982, as well as being issued individual dosimeters. For ease of management, the Royal Observer Corps posts were broken up into sectors, groups and clusters. Clusters were usually contained 3 Observer Corps posts, one of which was a master. The number of posts could be anything from 2 to 5. All the posts would have teletalk on private circuits that were connected within the cluster and through to group through the telephone exchanges that the GPO, then BT, ran as standard. But these were on private circuits and were believed to be well protected from blast and EMP effects. Standard posts were connected to Group HQ only via teletype. The master ROC post would have a RF frequency radio as well. There are 2 generations of equipment, those pre-1981 and those post-1981, which were rolled out after 1981, not necessarily in each bunker in 1981. Every bunker had the carrier receiver connected to the national warning system that was able to issue the attack warning red when an incoming air attack, attack warning black as a fallout warning, and the all clear. This was to enable the crew of the bunker to operate the hand siren for attack warning red and the all clear, and the maroon for attack warning black. Reporting to group was done predominantly through the teletalk. If that system was to go down, then each of the posts would report to the master post, and the master post would then attempt to use radio to report through. The reporting would be to report a toxin, which is the code name for a nuclear detonation. The multiple ROC posts would report from their pinhole cameras. The triangulation would then occur at the Group HQ, and from the triangulation we would know where the bomb had detonated. Using the location of this detonation, they could work out the power of the bomb based on the triangulation and the distance from each of the Royal Observer Corps posts and the peak pressure that each post had reported. Little known about the Royal Observer Corps is the nuclear reporting cells. These were civilian observer who were based within the RAF Ministry of Defence sites such as RAF Lucas, RAF Bawtry and High Wycombe, and these provided the military with information on nuclear bursts using the same information network through the UK WMO. The protected lines were used to communicate, and that would provide the military with vital information on nuclear bursts. As you can see on the map here, you can see where these were based. It's important to note that it's expected that the civilian volunteers would have been expected to have security clearance because they would be on active military sites, working and providing information at the very top levels within that site.
And that's all for today. Now please remember guys, I don't have permission to view this post in person, so I'm here, I'm stood just outside like the gate. I've not gone on private land. It's really important that none of us go on private land. It's dangerous and we all want to stay safe. It's illegal because it's trespassing. Landowners don't necessarily want us looking at these because they can be dangerous, and you've got to make sure when you're visiting you have all the protective equipment you need. Most importantly, that you are insured and it's an organised group, because we don't want people getting hurt and going into places where there are potential dangers that you might not think about. Stay safe guys, and thanks for your time.